Hello, Professor Artful here, coming to you from LCC's virtual studios. A little dark here. Let me turn on some light. There we go. That's a little better. Now, the purpose of the photo shoot is to acquire portraits of your characters for the playbill, as well as action poses for your poster. Now, the photographer and their director will be guided by the thematic needs as outlined by the marketing campaign and its accompanying storyboard and directives. In this lesson, we're going to explore some basic portraiture shooting techniques in photography and film that can profoundly change the impact that an image may have on its audience. The three techniques that we'll be reviewing are framing, with the rule of thirds, lighting, and perspective. Now, seeing as how it is so dark in here, let's start off with the principle of lighting. Now, photography is all about lighting. In fact, the patterns of an image and the intensity of its colors are reflections of light waves that are captured by the camera's digital film or the CCD. Now, painters such as Rembrandt, filmmakers such as Alfred Hitchcock, and photographers such as William Notman of Montreal and Annie Leibovitz produce timeless pieces of art through their masterful use of light. Now, within a studio, a technique known as three-point lighting is often used to eliminate harsh shadows and provide an even balance of lighting on a subject's face, while separating them from the background. Now, the primary light, or key light, is angled approximately 45 degrees from the subject. Let's take a look over here. This light over here shall serve as my key light. Now you'll notice my subject has got quite a dark profile right now, so I'm going to turn this light on, and let's see the effect that has, and put it on a little brighter. There we go. Now this key light is the primary light at a 45-degree angle, but it will also cause some shadows. It's coming in from his right side, so it is actually creating some shadows on the left side of his face, and that's where you may want to come in with the fill light. The fill light is weaker than the key light, thus allowing some shadows, but it reduces the intensity of the shadows so that they're not as harsh. So let's turn on our fill light over here. Our fill light is moved back, and it's a little higher up, and it's moved back a little further than our key light. Now we've got a little bit more of an even distribution of light on a face. Let's zoom in on his face. You've got pretty much an even balance of light across the face. Now in cases where you might be using backdrops behind your subject, you may want to separate the subject from those backdrops, and in such a case you'd use what's called a backlight or rim light. And the backlight is generally angled from above and is behind the subject. Now in this case we don't have any distinctive background, so really the green is quite a monotone uniform color, so the backlight isn't really going to have any effect on separating him from the background. Now the three-point lighting system is a situation where you're trying to achieve balanced light. We're now going to move over into a studio situation where we do have certain backdrops, and whereby we may want to actually use shadows to achieve a certain artistic effect that is consistent with the mood of our marketing materials. There are certain situations where photographers may actually want to use harsh shadows as a means of creating mystique and mood. Now, the more perpendicular a flash is to its subject, the more acute the shadows. For example, if a flash is pointing to a white wall on the left side and it bounces off the right side of the subject's face, then the left side of the face may be in total darkness. Likewise, a single flash may also be angled from below for a horror effect, or from above. Furthermore, colored gels can be added for mood enhancements. You can also use a mounted flash in the hot shoe of the camera, and you can angle it off a ceiling or off any walls and position your subjects so that the light bounces in a manner that you desire. Now, the basic principle behind the rule of thirds is one of breaking down the viewable frame into thirds vertically and also horizontally. Now, the two vertical lines used to create three columns become focal points across which you should align key areas of interest within your photograph. The same is also true of the two horizontal lines drawn to create three rows. Now, these four lines, the vertical and horizontal, provide 4 points of interest along which you can frame your image. The rule of thirds also suggests that you may use intersections along the vertical and horizontal lines to align key elements of interest in your photography. The third technique in framing to be explored is that of perspective. While the rule of thirds and three-point lighting can impact the composition of your image, the perspective from which you angle your camera is highly effective in radically modifying the composition and impact of photos taken of the exact same subject. Now, the three techniques that we reviewed regarding framing and lighting and perspective are applicable not only to photography but also to film. And so you should take these into consideration when you're planning out your shots. This is Professor Artful reporting to you from the virtual studios of LCC. Should you be in need of any further assistance, please feel free to contact me via Skype.